Welcome in, sweet friend, to the Her.Unlocked podcast. I am really excited because I'm going to do something a little bit different. At least for this month, we're going to see how it goes future months. But as we step into October, I decided I really wanted to focus my episodes this month on money mindset, how to handle your money, how to move through the money blocks that you are carrying around, share my own personal journey with money. And because it's been a journey and it still has been as I continue to unpack things that I have carried with me that are impacting how I feel about money, how I handle money. And I just thought this is an incredible month to dive into this topic and kind of do a series this month and really unpack this for you because as we move in, as we close out October, move into November, we move into some of the highest spending months as we step into the holidays and we want to gift people and we have all these different experiences we want to do. And I thought, you know what? I want to equip you with a different way of thinking about your money and how you see your money and help you walk into this season feeling really empowered because that's what I do. My whole goal with this podcast, with my company Unlock Her Co, and everything that I do with women and the work I embody myself is to move through life from a more empowered place. Because at the end of the day, you control your results, your reality. You can't control all your circumstances. And I'm going to talk about that a bit today because I'm a little on fire. I had decided to do this month on money, which means a lot was coming up for me about money and posts I was seeing and the way people were talking about money. And I'm just like, okay, that's reinforcement. Like, this is going to be good. And I saw a post actually this morning about money. And it was someone that posted in a group that was talking about how much they make and how they feel like they can't make ends meet, but they're making a lot of money. And that it's just depressing. Are they overspending? And like the comments, I think there's like 160 comments in responding back to this anonymous post. And I was like sifting through the comments because I was like, okay, this is a topic I'm talking about this month. I want to understand where people's heads and hearts are at. And this is an incredible post to understand that with zero judgment because I've been there. And my husband and I have been there. And I'll drop in the show notes an episode I did at maybe a year ago about getting out of some significant debt because of a variety of reasons. And I'll share more on that too, because even though we got out of debt and we put some really incredible things in place and I shifted some stories I had been told, beliefs and stories I was holding, I actually hadn't done the deeper subconscious work yet because I wasn't exposed to that subconscious work yet. And so I'm going to be talking about this month a little bit more from that place because I can still feel that there is work to be done for me. And I want you to know, like, you can start somewhere and then you can do this deeper work that's going to help you show up differently, handle your money differently, feel differently about your money. I'm really excited because I'm going to be bringing in my friend who also is certified in the subconscious space, but she's certified in nervous system regulation. And she also is a money coach. She's the financial fairy is what we sometimes call her. And she is coming onto the podcast. I'm going to be super excited, or I'm super excited for you to experience her, both the strategy and method that she works with her clients on, because strategy and method is important. And if you don't do the underlying work on your belief systems, on your nervous system around money, it doesn't matter what strategy or method, whether you do Dave Ramsey, whether you do any other thing, which honestly, the comments that were happening in, on this post for this woman were really focused on strategies and methods for her to use. Are you budgeting? Are you do Dave Ramsey? Here's my financial advisor, all of those things. And yes, there is a beautiful place for that. And we are just programmed to go to that place first. That's where we went. And it was effective. But we also did work around our money mindset because I was aware that there are blocks and stories and beliefs that we have that are really important to move through to actually start to operate differently, to behave differently. And that's what I want to open your heart and mind to through this series, is just deeper work that's necessary to be done versus muscling through to pay off debt, muscling through to make ends meet, believing that you have to work harder to make more, believing that money is going to bring you success, that money is going to bring you fulfillment, that money is going to bring you happiness, that money is actually going to remove these feelings of depression. If I only made more money. Have you ever said that to yourself? I know that I have. If we only had more money, if I only made more money. And that is a scarcity mindset. And when you're operating from that place, you are not going to be open to money that's already readily available to you and opportunities that are readily available to you. You're going to be actually blocking those things from coming in because you're so caught up in your circumstances, in your bank account. You might even be avoiding. I know that's a common behavior of mine, a default. If I just don't look, then I don't have to deal with it. And then things just get worse and harder and more overwhelming. Can you relate? The other thing that I noticed happening on this post in the comments was a lot of blaming circumstances, blaming the economy, blaming inflation and taxes and government, and like a lot of blame of things that we don't have any control over, truthfully. And I was like, oh, like that's where a lot of people go. We blame our circumstances, we blame other things, and we play victim. And I talk a lot about this with my clients and myself, of living at cause, taking radical responsibility over your life. And when you are blaming everything else, daycare being expensive, I've been there, groceries being more expensive, like all of these things, right? Like, and there's truth to that. Things are more expensive. And at the same time, focusing on those things that you cannot control, you're giving those things the power, and you're not focusing on what you can control and what you can do differently. And so I also want to remind you, like, you can change your circumstances. And it goes back to what I've been sharing, which is changing your beliefs around money. And that first belief might be, I have the power. I can change my reality by changing my beliefs around money, around how I perceive money. And I bet you anything, those people who were commenting in the comments and blaming all of these other things, and I know they were trying to be supportive and make this person feel better. And I'm like, that is not helping, because you're just giving her something else to blame, which then takes the power away from her, because those are circumstances we can't control. And that's living at effect, living in our excuses, all the reasons we're in this place, versus focusing on the results that we want and living at cause and taking aligned action to get there. And it again starts with our belief system, that we actually believe we have control and we can change our reality. Do you believe that? Because it starts there. The work starts there, taking radical responsibility over your circumstances, over your bank account, over your belief systems, over your money stories. And I have to believe those people who were commenting have a belief system and were raised to blame others for that. And they don't know any better. We get imprinted with beliefs between the ages of 0 and 7. And a lot of times we carry beliefs forward from generation to generation. And so you are not to blame, and you have the power. You want to start operating from a more empowered place around your money, don't you? And this series is going to help you do that. And so I just want to prompt you that if money is something you know you're avoiding or it makes you frustrated, like you have this like undesired emotion towards it. It's what you and your significant other maybe fight about or you avoid talking about. You feel like that you can't make ends meet, yet you feel like you should be able to because of the money that you are making or you and your significant other are making. I want to tell you that you can change that and you can start to change that now. And it does start with working on your belief system, your money stories, because that is where greater wealth is found. Wealth is not going to be found in your bank account. Even though we are programmed to believe that's a measure of success, if we are measuring our success by our bank accounts or the material things or what we have and what we don't have, and we aren't taking care of what we do have, we're going to continue to struggle. You will not be given more than what you take care of, what you are grateful for. A lot of us, and I know this was my programming, is to look at kind of like from a greedy place, like more and more and more. More is going to equal happiness. That if my bank account said XYZ, then I'm successful. If my check coming in, my paycheck coming in says XYZ, if I can tell people I make six figures, then I'm successful. And that just isn't the case. Success is not found in your bank account. Success is found on the inside. And most of us are avoiding doing that work because it feels hard. Sometimes we're even masking that we even have any friction with money in our bank account. And that if we just tighten up here, we don't buy the coffee, we don't go out to eat, we spend less, that is going to be the thing that solves for this. And yes, it can solve for it for the short term. And it is also like a necessary strategy depending on what's going to work for you, because what works for somebody else may not work for you is what I would tell you. So looking to everyone else to give you the answers is not the answer. It's getting quiet, understanding. What are your beliefs around money? How were you raised around money? What did your parents say? What did your family say? How was your maybe significant other raised? What do they say about money? What do they believe about money? That is the place to start before you go and find the right strategy and method for you. Because until you understand what's going on the inside and you start to unpack that and get honest and vulnerable about that, no strategy or method is going to solve for this in the long term. You're just going to find yourself in this cycle. Okay, we paid off the debt. We're feeling comfortable. We can spend a little bit more. We can do a little bit more. All of a sudden, you're back in the same situation because you didn't actually do the work to define your rich life, your wealthy life beyond the numbers in your bank account. And really start to unpack what is keeping you from that? What beliefs, what money stories, money mindset are keeping you from that? What are the new beliefs you want to have? How do you want to look at money and feel about money moving forward? Until those things start to shift, you're not going to see things shift in the long term in your bank account. It's also so important to think about that going into different seasons, like the holiday season. It's like, what actually matters to our family that we're going to spend money on? What do we value? Do we value experiences? Do we value gifts? Do we value time together? Do we value the Christmas cards? I know that's something I unpacked where it was like I was doing that for everybody else. And so we still take the family photos because I love to have those memories, but I no longer feel the pull to put time, money, and energy into family photos. So again, like it's just something that you're continuously coming back to. And as you move into different seasons, it's important to reassess, what are my beliefs? What are my values? How do I want to operate moving forward? How do I start to see money as neutral? I know my friend Kristen's going to talk about that for sure, because that's definitely tapped into your nervous system. How do you want to feel about money? How do you want to feel when you look at your bank account? How do you want to talk about money? And if you're raising kids, how do you want them to experience? What do you want them to believe about money? Do you want them to grow up with different beliefs than you did, different money stories? Do you want them to handle money differently than you? Then if you want that, you've got to go first. You've got to do this work so that you actually behave, your behaviors, your words that you say to yourself and to others and to them about money is in alignment to what you want for them, because it matters. It's not about just muscling through. It's not about just cutting in all places. It's not about just getting another job, making more money. It's about doing this internal work to feel content with where you are, to be grateful for the money coming in, for the cent. That was something I learned. I wasn't paying attention and being grateful for what I already had. And I started doing I can't remember, like money miracle list. I learned this through a mastermind I was in, of like keeping track of every penny that comes in. Even if you find a penny or a nickel on the ground, writing that down and just being so deeply grateful for that 1 cent just as much as you'd feel about $1 million coming in. And I know that might sound silly to you because it's so extreme. And I mentioned this earlier, you're not going to be given more if you're not grateful for what you have. And I also want to layer in a Christian perspective on this, because no surprise, when I opened my Bible this morning, a verse came forward. I've been working my way through the Bible, and through something I'm doing through my church. And right now I'm moving through Acts, and I was in Acts 8. And the one verse that came forward, I was like, oh God, okay. Like you're prompting me to continue to talk. Like you're prompting me that this series is more important than ever, because this came up this morning. Then that post in that group came up this morning. And then yesterday I was leading an event, and money came up again. I'm doing a Shatter Your Money Ceiling workshop locally. So if you're listening and you're local to Minnesota, I'll also put that link in the show notes. And so I just know I'm being called, because I'm also still doing work in this space. So I'm going to share that in a future episode of like the work that I'm currently doing and the work that I did do. So if you listen to my past episode, I think I mentioned this earlier in the episode, that I was doing some belief work, but I hadn't really tapped in more deeply to my subconscious and really realizing where that belief was deeply rooted and where it came from. And so I'll talk a little bit more from a subconscious mind perspective in a future episode this month. But back to kind of the Bible verse that came up, because I think as a Christian, it's so important, this whole like being grateful for what you have and not seeking validation through money and through what money can buy you, because it can't buy you success. It cannot buy you happiness. It cannot buy you fulfillment. It cannot buy you peace of mind. It cannot give you relief. You've got to access this now, and it's readily available to you from God. And so the verse is, but Peter said to him, may your silver perish, so the money he had, with you because you thought you could obtain the gift of God with money. Anything that God wants you to have is not bought through money. He's already given you exactly what you're supposed to have. And he wants you to be grateful and responsible with it. That's the other thing. How are you stewarding your money well? How are you stewarding your mindset around money, your beliefs around money well? If you are experiencing lack, or you're experiencing measuring your success or fulfillment or happiness by what's in your bank account, or honestly, what's not in your bank account, the enemy has a grip on you. He has made money an idol, and God does not want that for you. So it's so important to do this work. And he reminds us of that in Acts 8:20. I think I forgot to mention the exact verse. So Acts 8:20. Knowing that all gifts are given from God and not from money. And so I just want to leave you with the challenge to go into this month assessing your relationship with money. How do you feel about it? What stories have you told yourself? What beliefs do you have around it? What do people in your life that you surround yourself with believe, think, talk about when it comes to money? And how do you want to shift that? And I'm going to tell you a little bit more on how to do that in future episodes. This one's really focused on just making you aware and starting to ask yourself those deeper questions to understand that it isn't going to be going straight to an app, a program, a strategy, a method. Yes, that's helpful. And having that with this belief work is going to be really powerful. Most people skip the belief work. Most people skip the money mindset part. You want to do things differently and you want them to have lasting change and to change you and to change your reality and your results. This is the work that matters. And so I want to prompt you to dig in and to follow along on this series to get further equipped in how to do this. And I know you will step in to all you are destined for, and you will call in more money when you're doing this work without focusing on calling in more money. This is the work that's going to change you from the inside out. I'm so excited. I'm excited to share a bit more about my own experiences, my own beliefs in a future episode. And I can't wait to have my friend Kristen and one of my clients on later this month who had some shifts around money and abundance as well. And I'll be dropping a really incredible subconscious reprogramming technique to support you through this series. Stay tuned, follow along. I heart you, friend.